All right, what's going on, Giants fans? Free agency video number 2. Doing free agency preview, doing 5 players. Doing 6 today, but 2 are guys that could be returning Giants. Today we're doing the safety position. Now, this is obviously not a position I need for the New York Giants. They have Jabril Peppers, Logan Ryan. They drafted Xavier McKinney. You have a guy like Julian Love who, we don't know what he's going to play, but he's played mostly a safety in the NFL. So for right now, we kind of got to assume he's playing there. Let me get this hair out of my face. And while I do that, please like and subscribe. We got all types of draft content, free agency content, the podcast. So we're putting the safeties out today because we do have the podcast coming out. So I'm going to be looking at some special teams. Now I have some guys that could be, maybe a little out of reach. And we're going to start off with one of those guys, a guy I like a lot. Maybe not the most realistic, but there's a lot of connections. And if the Giants weren't so strong at safety, I think they would look at this guy because they have looked at this guy. And it's Trey Boston, 28 years old, 6'1", 206 pounds. Let me stop shaking the camera. He was drafted by Dave Gettleman in 2014. He was a 4th-round pick to the Carolina Panthers. Played well for them. And then he went and spent a couple years, 1 year with the Chargers and then with the Cardinals. And then he was a free agent in 2019. He came in during camp with Jonathan Cyprin and visited with the Giants. I mean, this was the beginning of the Talking Giants podcast. We literally did an episode on Trey Boston and why it made so much sense. And he ended up signing, though, with the Panthers, not with the Giants, on a 1-year, $2.1 million deal, which looking back at that now as a Giants fan, it's like we paid Antoine Bethea like $4 million, and Trey Boston, got half that. Trey Boston would have obviously been the better fit, even though Bethea kind of was told to play deep safety, and that's just not what Antoine Bethea was going to be at his age. But Trey Boston would have made sense. I like Trey Boston, though, a lot. Now, the Panthers did cut him after giving him a 3-year, $18 million deal, and they didn't save, like, really any cap space, because there was so much dead cap. So kind of confusing as why they would do that. Now, he's a very risk-reward type player. Like, he's versatile. He can play deep. He can play down in the box. But he takes chances. So there's times when I've been watching, like I was watching James Bradbury film last year when the Giants signed him, and he would make a mistake. He would take a chance and make a mistake and blow coverage, but then he'd have these awesome plays. So I love those kind of guys. You get one of those guys in the right scheme, and Trey Boston could do some damage for the Giants. And you know what? Maybe he's an option because they signed Logan Ryan. McKinney's a second-year guy. Maybe they want Love to move to corner. And Peppers is going to be a free agent after this year. He's entering his 5th-year option. So that's where I could see if it's almost like a plan to move on from Peppers. Although I don't think it's the most likely. Here's the one that maybe isn't the most likely, but it makes a lot of sense. Next, he played with the Giants. Michael Thomas, 31 years old, 5'11", 195 pounds, not the wide receiver, the safety. Last year, he signed with the Texans on a $1 million deal. So he can be had for cheap. And there is history there with the Giants. I mean, he was a Pro Bowl special teamer with the Giants in 2018. He played 27% of the snaps on defense in 2019, 48% on 18. So he's got experience playing defense for the Giants. I mean, hell, in 2018 he had 59 tackles, 2 interceptions. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Michael Thomas playing safety, but he was adequate. And here's the thing, with Peppers, Ryan, McKinney, this guy's going to have to play special teams, if the Giants sign a 4th safety. He's going to have to play special teams, and that's what Michael Thomas is known for. Like I said, he was a Pro Bowl special teams player. He played 80% of the special teams snaps with the Giants, over that. And the Texans just didn't use him a ton. He played, he only played 41% of just special team snaps with Houston. So they didn't use him. And when he plays defense, I like my special teams guys to be able to play on the field too, and that'll lead into my next point. But he can play too high safety. He can play down in the box. I mean, remember the 3rd down stop and man coverage on Cameron Brate against Tampa in 2019 that led to a big play. So he's a guy who can be that beast on special teams, but isn't a liability when he plays defense. And everyone loves him. Now, speaking of liabilities on defense, my next one, it's 2 players but 1. First, they're both returning guys who were Giants with the Giants in 2020. Nate Abner, 32 years old, 6 foot, 215 pounds. He came over with Joe Judge from the Patriots on a 1-year, $2 million deal, even though I think that deal may have been a little less when everything happened. Played 80% of the special team snaps. Here's my issues. He's just not a contributor on defense. You know, he played about 40 snaps on defense, and every time he was just a liability out there as a linebacker, extra safety. He was a liability out there. And now listen, you have to be better than what Nate Abner was on special teams. You have to be like a returner if you can't play offense or defense. Being the guy that's going to get down the field, it's just not valuable enough for me. So Nate Abner, now he is a realistic option, but he's not one that I would want. But I do think there's a good chance he gets brought back with the Giants. The other one was with the Giants, Adrian Colbert, 27 years old, 6'2", 205. I do hope they bring this guy back. He was claimed off of waivers after cut day from the Miami Dolphins, so he had that experience with Patrick Graham from their time, both their time in Miami. And he started, he took over Julian Love's spot, and then he got injured. He ended up missing 10 games. But he was a pretty decent safety. And the Giants don't really have that deep safety on the roster. Logan Ryan, he can play it, but that's not his best role. Peppers likes to play more towards the box in that money backer role. McKinney's very similar to Peppers in that way. And Julian Love can play it, but he wasn't great at it, and there may be plans for him to play corner. So I think Adrian Colbert would be a good option to bring back in. That's somebody I'd want to bring back in. And he had some big hits. I liked Adrian Colbert. So fourth, but technically fifth on the list, Ricardo Allen, 29 years old, 5'9", 186 pounds. He's played with the Falcons, and there's a connection there because Jerome Henderson, the Giants DB coach, was the pass game, the defensive pass game coordinator, / DB coach for the Falcons. So there is some connection there. In 2020, he had 25 tackles, 2 interceptions. 2019, he had 85 tackles, 2 interceptions. And here's the thing, like I was talking about with Colbert, if the Giants want to go out and get themselves a deep safety, say they want to play a little more man coverage this year, blitz a little more, play, more traditional cover 3, Ricardo Allen would be the guy, and I think you could get him on a good deal. And like I said, you got Ryan, Peppers, McKinney. None of those guys best are suited as that deep middle field, center field safety. Ricardo Allen could do that. There is the connection. I don't think you'd have to spend much money. I think you could get him towards the minimum for Ricardo. So I know he's a guy that's played a lot. But Ricardo Allen, if they're trying to get that deep safety. Now, last on the list is Terrence Brooks, who turns 29 today, by the way. Happy birthday, Terrence Brooks. Turns 29. 5'11", 205 pounds. From the Patriots. So he has history with Joe Judge. He's the 2-year, $3.25 million deal is expiring. He didn't play much for them. Played about 25% of the defensive snaps, so he's gonna be cheap. He's a versatile player. Like I said, you can play him deep. I think he likes to play a little more towards the box. Put him in man coverage with the tight end. But he played with Joe Judge as a special teams coordinator in 2019. He played 40% of those snaps. For his career, he was usually over 50% on special team snaps. But like I said, I think you're going to have to get some special team snaps if they go and get a safety. And I think that's where Terrence Brooks would be brought in, and just obviously depth for the other 3 safeties that the Giants currently have on the roster. So out of all this list, now Trey Boston is my favorite of the players, but I don't think they're going to go do that. I would bring back Michael Thomas, man. I mean, everybody loved him. He's a freaking team captain. He can play, he can play defense. He's a special team Pro Bowler. No reason to not bring back Michael Thomas. I would much rather have him than a Nate Abner. So, we'll see if they get one of these guys. If you like these free agency videos, subscribe, like, let me know what safety you're eyeing in free agency. And don't tell me the best safety out there. Of course, everybody wants the best safety. We're not getting the best safety. So appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. I think I'm going to do tight end. I'm trying to get the positions that aren't a huge of need out of the way. So I think we're going to do the tight ends next, and then maybe Thursday we'll do wide receivers. All right. Appreciate you guys. See you next time. Let's go Big Blue.